All right, guys, it's 1 o'clock, and apparently everybody knew that Denny was going to be here today because we are a little light, and that's okay. You know what we're going to do? We're going to have some fun today. Week before Thanksgiving, there is no call next week. I am going to step out of the limb and just make that decision on behalf of Denny. We haven't talked about it, but you know what? You guys have better things to do on Friday next week, like spending time with your family and spending too much money at Best Buy and Target with all of these fake sales that are going on. So next Friday, we are not having a call. All right. All right. So what is cooking in your worlds, guys? What is going on? I'm going to start calling on people. I know stuff's, hey, you guys can't beat this board. I know stuff is going on. So what's happening in your world?
Well, if nobody say anything, I will say first.
Step on up, Ann. Awesome. Thank you.
Yes, thank you for the training here. I want, well, a client. I've been cold calling for the last 3 months and not sure if it yield any result. It's more discouraging than upbeat, but then eventually last week I got a listing from an
Great
client.
job.
Yes.
Great job. So it's interesting because, you know, let me ask you this, Ann. So you've said you've been cold calling now for a couple months and you got your first listing from, by the way, Jessica, you're on deck, so be prepared. You got your first listing from it.
Yes.
What did you learn along the way?
Well, I learned not everybody is the same. Somebody has hot temper, some are nice. Some are nice but didn't take any action. Some are gearing toward taking action.
Okay.
So besides the script, I need to incorporate it with my character so that they know who I am. I am action taking, imperfect action taker.
Okay.
And for that, some will resonate with my character and they will go with me.
Excellent. Okay, so a couple months into this, you got your first listing, you're feeling a little more confident. You've learned that, you know what, people have different personalities.
Yes.
That's excellent.
Yes,
so
definitely.
One of the things that you may have picked up from this, Ann, is it actually, let me do this in the form of a question. What do you think the single biggest area that you can improve on in order to, instead of taking one listing every 3 months, you take one listing every 3 weeks? Where's your biggest room for improvement?
Wow, there are a lot of area to improve on.
Okay, pick one.
Yeah, first is question-based conversation.
Okay, excellent, which is why we're here, right?
Yes.
Learning how to have conversations, asking questions as opposed to telling.
Yeah, and as we go in, we need to see that, always have that mindset of what we see that they don't see, and then how we ask the question to bring them to on the same page with us.
And the reverse could be true too, Anna, couldn't it? Couldn't the reverse be that they see something we don't?
Oh, yes.
How many times do we go into a conversation and we start asking questions and we think we're asking questions to help them realize something, when the reality of it is we're asking them a leading question to get them down the road that we think is the right answer.
Yes.
So it really becomes being supremely curious. And, you know, we talk about it all the time, step out of judgment and be curious. It is so difficult to do that.
Yes. Oh, thank you. Thank you, John, for pointing it out.
You got it. Jessica, what were you going to say? I saw your hand up earlier.
Hi, thank you for having me on. I am actually new to this call, so I appreciate being added. I'm in Bold with Denny Grimes, and I also do the pivot call with James Shaw. I've been in real estate for 4 years, and I have been fortunate, I think, to be successful. And I've now come to realize that this new market we're entering into is going to be a skills-based market. And I'm quoting I'm quoting everybody that's way ahead of me. And I need to, and I want to commit to working on my conversations. So
Awesome.
I appreciate being here. Thank you.
Well, we're glad to have you here. And one of the things that we'll do, which if you're in Bold with Denny, you already know that we often correct vernacular here. And you're not hoping to commit. You're either committing or you're not committing. Right? Well, I can get all Yoda on you.
Yes.
Do or do
No,
not.
I know.
There is no try. Right?
I am committing. I am committing to having better, more skilled conversations in 2023. And that's going to take me practicing.
And that's what this is all about. So how many people, show of hands, you can either raise your digital hand or actually wave your hand, have been in this industry for less than 5 years? Okay, that's most of you. Awesome. And guess what? This is not like it was the past 2 years. Natalie's already smiling down there. She's already figured out this is not like it was the past 2 years. So first off, I want to congratulate you guys all for being on here. Secondly, I want to absolutely ensure and reassure you guys that you are in a position right now that 95% of your competition is not in. And that's in the position of recognizing, hey, I've got to learn to be better every single day. I need to increase my skills, because if I don't, I'm going back to what I did beforehand. And there's a reason why you left that. Right? And it wasn't because you wanted to, maybe it was that you wanted to go get private airplanes. It wasn't because you wanted a Bentley or a private airplane. Okay? It's because you wanted a little bit more control over your life to do what's really important. So we need to put skills into play. Now, there's one person missing from this call today that's going to get called out as soon as she gets on here. But Tina, where is she? I know you're laughing because you know exactly who I'm talking about. Where is she?
I can't get her. I've texted her 3 times. I have no idea.
Okay.
She's probably on a call, so she might jump in a minute. But
All right, well,
getting on.
let's start off by, I want to hear what you guys are doing right now, skill-wise, that is putting you ahead of your competition. What have you done in the past week or past 2 weeks that caused you to get a listing that you didn't have, caused you to put a property under contract that you didn't have, caused your business to move forward?
I'll start. Pi Day.
Go ahead, Bettina.
Pi Day has been awesome. Just because it allowed me to connect with clients I maybe haven't talked to in a while. And since I just moved about a month ago back to Keller Williams, it also gave me the opportunity to say, hey, I've moved. And of course they all have questions. So I got quite a few leads just from that. They may not be moving, till next year, but just being able to have that conversation and really find out their motivation more than anything after, going through all these calls. Has helped me to get deeper into the conversation. So it's not just a, hey, I'm thinking about moving next year. Okay, great. Call me then. You actually connect. So
when did you guys start talking with your clients about Pi Day?
Monday. Well,
Monday.
No. We started we spent Monday trying to get the emails and text messages out because we had some technical difficulties.
Okay.
So we actually started calling, I would say, on Tuesday.
Okay, so Tuesday would be like 3 days ago.
Yeah.
Okay. How many pies did you get committed to give away?
Right now we're at, I think like 102. So in 48 hours, we got 102 people to commit to Pi Day.
102 people that you would not have been in contact with said,
Yep.
Hey, thanks for calling. I'll take your cheap $8 pie and come and say hi.
Hey, they're good pies. Costco's got
They're great pies. They're
But
great
yes,
pies.
they did. They were all so grateful, and we're doing a big event where they're all going to pick up their pie. So, some people are driving quite the distance to come pick up a free pie. So we're excited.
Awesome. How many people on here are not familiar with Pi Day? Be honest. All right, Patty. Thank you. Patty, are you in my office? You need to unmute yourself.
Yes, I'm new to this. I'm 2 months in, just really, so, yeah, I'm in Naples. I take it you're in Naples, and I heard you're John.
Yeah, for some, oh, you know what? I had to log in as Denny. Let me be real here. There we go. We'll change it to where it is. Okay. I got to learn how to spell apparently. But yes, I am in the Naples office. So welcome to the club, Patty. And if you ever have any questions, just come knock on my door. So Pi Day, every Thanksgiving, teams and agents all across the country give away pumpkin and apple pies to their clients. Now, if you only got 3 clients, you can bake them yourself. Doesn't take much time to do that. You can deliver them. I started out small. I would bake 20 pies and go hand deliver them. And then all of a sudden it grew beyond that. And then when I joined forces with Denny, like, man, we got to do 500 pies every year. So how do we do that? Just like all the other big teams, you say, all right, we order the pies, we have them delivered to our office, and then on Tuesday before Thanksgiving, clients come to us to pick up the pies. So you just heard Bettina had some really good success. In 48 hours, they had 102 pies committed. So first question is, who is like, oh my God, there's a huge bill at Costco? Be honest, come on. Who's like, who has $1,000 worth of pies? Who's going, oh, right? So when we started Pi Day here, the 4th text message I sent out was a client said, hey, my parents need a new place. They're in a bind and they need it quick. I said, all right, no problem. Do you want a pumpkin pie or an apple pie? No, that's not how the conversation went. I said, Glenn, how can I help? What do we need to do? So 2 days later, we went under contract. 7 days after that, we closed. So the net to our team on that transaction paid for the first 350 pies that our team's giving away. That was on the 3rd call, okay? So is this powerful? Absolutely. So Patty, the steps that you take to this, and everybody listening, here's some tips that you can do if you want to do Valentine's Day chocolates. You could do it for all the husbands because they all forget. Come to my office to get chocolate and roses on Valentine's Day. You're going to look like a freaking hero. My wife, by the way, is on the other side of this monitor, and now I'm committed to chocolates and roses for Valentine's Day. See, there she goes. These are the things, guys, you want to learn how to plus it, all right? Because think of times where people appreciate you. This is that time of year. Think of times where they forget Valentine's Day, Mother's Day, Father's Day, and what can you do? So you start by giving away the pies. Now what we do is we have a few cases of wine that are out when you come into the office. Like, oh, I like wine. How do I get a bottle of wine? Customize it to your personality. As you guys can tell, I'm pretty outgoing with this sort of stuff. I have a lot of fun. So say, you know what? I will give you a bottle of wine if you're willing to sell out one of your friends who's looking to buy or sell property in the next year. Like, what do you mean? I said, we will give a bottle of wine to anyone who has a real referral. I said, what's a real referral? Their name, their email address, and their phone number. And when I call, I'm using your name. And you'd be surprised how quickly people fork over names and numbers to add to your database over an $8 bottle of wine. It's interesting, isn't it? Last year, we generated somewhere between 10 and $12 million in sales because of Pi Day. It was about $50 million worth of potential referrals, and of what we closed, it's a couple $100,000 in net commissions. It doesn't happen overnight. We've been doing Pi Day on our team for 20 years. So the opportunities are there, and guess what? Nobody else in your market is doing it. You know what else no one else in your market is doing? Reverse selling. And now that Sandra's here, we're going to let her tell you about it. So Sandra, I'm going to tee it up a little bit. I called Sandra and Bettina yesterday just to check in, see how things were going. They were taste testing some things that they were preparing for Pi Day. I will let them explain that, and I am all over this. I love this idea, guys, so make sure, Sandra, you give the entire story. And then where did it go from there about your most recent under contract?
So yesterday, well, I don't know if most of y'all know, but I just joined KCN probably about 2.5 months ago. So it's been a little rocky getting our CRM correct. So we finally got it correct this week, and we had 48 hours to get our calls out to our pie people. So in 48 hours, we passed over 100 people. Bettina and I ordered our pies. We ordered wine. We ordered some sort of, I don't know, chocolate puppy mush or something that Bettina thought we needed to open up in the car and eat. And so we got home. Both of my daughter-in-laws are from Eastern Europe, so their fathers all make homemade. One's called samagon and one's something else. So I was like, it's the holiday season. It is time to celebrate. So we had a little bit of samagon, which is extremely potent. And Bettina was like, man, we need to have him at all of our parties. And so I said, we're not going to. He's from Moldova.
I think we were laughing like crazy within 5 minutes. I'm like, this stuff is strong. It was really good.
Right, so we started then, we're making a bourbon holiday punch for our guests as they come in, which I'm sure most won't drink at 9 o'clock in the morning, but we might be. But anyway, so during that time, John called and we were absolutely laughing our butts off. But we were also talking too about, I had a listing, and I think some of y'all have heard the story that, my seller was going to go with his best friend's son, who had just gotten his license. And so I talked to him, and we, obviously we got the listing. We had an offer the first weekend, and then that buyer wigged out on us and just left. And then we had 30 showings with no offers. And I was talking to Patrick, with KCN, my coach, and I said, I can lower the price again because we got it down to like $499.9. We offered a buy down on the interest rate, capping out at 12,000, no bites. And I said, I think my last resort is to run naked through the neighborhood, and that is not going to happen. And he was like, I don't think your husband's gonna like that either. So my seller was like, I'll sell tickets. I'm like, yeah. Anyway, so we decided to do a reverse offer. And I was like, gosh, I haven't thought about that in a long time. I don't know how many of y'all were here in 08, 09. Most of y'all probably weren't even born then. But reverse offers is going back to the buyers and offering, hey, the seller is willing to sell you the house at this amount. And so I talked to my sellers, and we talked
Hey,
through.
Sandra, just pause just for a second. I want that to sink in for a second, guys. The seller sent out 30 offers to purchase on their own property to people who have seen it.
Yep.
Think about that. Let that stew.
And let me tell you, of those 30 people that I called that morning, only 3, it might have been 4, had bought homes. The rest of them had not. Most of the agents were like, well, first of all, I talked to my sellers. And so we were at $499.9. We decided to go and offer $480. And so most of the buyer agents were like, huh? And so they were like, we've never heard this before. And so I said, well, this is some of the things that we did back in 08, 09, because we had to, And so we are willing to sell you the home at $480, and let us know if your buyers have any interest in it. And I mean, several of them were like, oh, heck yeah. I had one guy go back out. One girl that I had talked to before, that was a Keller Williams agent. I really felt like this was her client's house. There was just something, you know how you kind of all know. And so I called her. She goes, wow, I cannot believe you're calling. She goes, we were just in a multiple offer situation on a home that I did not feel like they needed to be in. I feel like they need to be in your home, and we lost out. And so we talked about the offer, and she said, let me get with my people. And so they came back. They did indeed counter us. And I went back to my people and they agreed to accept their offer. And so it was just a matter of just kind of thinking outside the box. I'm getting ready to do the same thing with another seller that we've got. Their situation is a little more difficult. They have 2 autistic children. It's very hard to get people in to see the home because it's hard to get them out. And so we're just trying to do everything that we can to be a little more creative. I was amazed how many agents did not pick up on the buy down on the interest rate. And I don't think they really took that to heart or thought about it very long. They got the email because we sent it all out to them. But, a $12,000 buy down, if you go from a 7.5 to a 6.5, that's a pretty sizable change in your monthly payment.
So Sandra, there's 2 things here that are really great concepts. First is the reversed offer. And second is the buy down. So how many here have ever heard of a reverse offer before? Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, but Tina has, because she just participated in it. It's cheating. So Ann, you've heard of it. That's good. I love that. So Sandra, let's role play that. Who would like to hear how that conversation with the seller is going to go? Yeah, Keith's like, yeah, how do I do that? We want to hear this. Let's role play that. I'm going to be the seller and you be the agent. All right. And I want to know how the conversation goes.
So who's doing this? What are you doing?
You and me.
Oh,
I'm
you're
the
okay. Sorry.
I'm the seller. You're the agent. You're the one who did it. So
Okay.
let's hear how this works.
John, hey, it's Sandra. How are you?
Good, Sandra. How you doing?
I am doing good. Okay, so that we made our offer to the agents for a
Oh,
buy.
no. It's time out. You need to pitch this to me.
No.
I'm
I'm
the
getting there. Calm down. Just a second. We've already done the interest rate buy down, so we've already done that.
okay.
Okay, now calm down. So, John,
I'm just being just like you.
not even close. John, we offered to pay up to $12,000 to buy down the interest rate for the buyers, and at this point, we've had no one take any bait on that at all. And unfortunately, I can't do anything about that. So here's what I want to present to you now. And this is actually what I did say to him. I said, there are 2 things that we can do. Number 1, I can run through the neighborhood naked and try to sell your home. And
should I get my camera out for this just so I've got leverage later?
That's exactly what he said. I would sell tickets for that. And I said, that's not going to happen. And I said,
Okay.
or back in 08, 09, I said, we used to go to our buyers and offer a reverse offer from the seller. And he goes, yeah, I do remember those because they're my age. And he goes,
I don't know what that is. What is that? It's a reverse offer.
Reverse offer is where I'm going to take the list of agents that have shown your home. I'm going to call each and every one of them to see if they have indeed bought a home. You and Tracy and I need to make sure the price that we want to offer them, because remember, we're at $499.9.
Mhm.
So you let me know a number that you feel comfortable in me offering to these buyers. Once I have that number from you, John, I'm going to call these agents and I'm going to present that to each and every one of them to see if anyone will take a hold of it and see if we can get your home sold. So is there a number that you feel more comfortable in offering? Because we're at $499.9. We've offered a $12,000 buy down. And he did ask, will this include the buy down? I said, it will not. So that's when he came back with $480. And I said, okay. So John, thank you. Okay, $480, I will call. Let me get through it and I will let you know what the results are. And so that morning I talked to them that night. That morning I called 30 agents. And like I said, there was about 3 of them that were very interested. One guy went back out and the people that bought had already been out before and had already seen the home. So we got it in the contract. And we also got an appraisal waiver too.
Wow. So we have an appraisal waiver and an under contract. And the seller didn't fight it all that much.
Not at all. Not at all. They needed to sell the home.
All right, so first of all, that is, I love this idea, okay? This gets me excited. Now, secondly, who thinks that that conversation went easier than it would with their clients? If you were to call up your seller, is it gonna go that easy?
Was their motivation high, Sandra?
Thank you for
Because
saying
that's
that.
like 20, almost like 20, probably 22,000. Like they dropped from the list price.
It was 5%.
They are paying a mortgage, paying a rental, and freaking out. And I'm like,
Okay.
you guys don't, you really don't have any options at this point. This is do or die now.
Okay.
So Natalie, that's a great point, going to motivation. And that's exactly where I was hoping you were gonna go, is how many times do we have a seller that we don't know the motivation? They truly aren't being honest.
Okay, in workday, yes.
Now,
He was being honest with me. He was saying, sell the house. Sorry, I'm sorry.
no, in this case, I get it. He was being honest. However, we all have clients that aren't 100% honest with us because they're for whatever reason, they feel they're gonna be weak or what have you. So this gives a seller an opportunity to say, yeah, you know what, if somebody came in today and paid me $475, I'd take it.
Yes, so it's pre-position
Okay.
10 days ago.
Now,
It says
stop thinking in dollars. Think smallest number.
Mhm.
If you have a $500,000 house and say, oh yeah, the seller's willing to come $25,000 down. What's the seller gonna hear? Oh my God, I just lost 1 year of college tuition.
Okay,
Seller's willing to come down 5%. What's the difference?
right, you see.
Keith, unmute yourself. Come on, you got something to say. I can see it in your mouth.
It's a smaller number, so when you say it, like it would resonate
Okay,
as
so-
not such a large impact. If you
Exactly.
specify the dollar amount, it like tells them how much it is.
Yeah. Now, let's play this in reverse. Does anyone go to Starbucks multiple times a week? All right. Keith, you're gonna keep playing this game. Keith, unmute yourself.
Okay, great,
So-
thank you so much.
How many times do you go to Starbucks
I did
every
send
week,
it
Keith?
To Stephanie D'Angelo, letting her know that I was just taking the level.
Oh, here he goes.
Give me 1 second. I got a
Multitasking.
client.
Oh my God. So you might be hearing, Jessica, you might be hearing my wife in the background on my own microphone. Most everybody is muted. Sorry about that. All right, so who else goes to Starbucks more than once a week? No one wants to admit it because you know where I'm going. So let's say Keith goes to Starbucks 3 times a week and he gets a mocha latte, chai tea, soybean, half whip, or whatever you call it there. I don't go to Starbucks, but he spends $5 every time, 3 times a week. That's $800 a year. What sounds better, guys? Yeah, I went to Starbucks and spent $5, or I went to Starbucks and spent 800. Doesn't that make sense? So always present the lowest number. Okay, now guys, how many of you did not do a pie day? Awesome, most of you.
Will do.
So here's what we'd like to do. Let's role play
We'll do that right away.
conversations that you can have between now and Wednesday of next week with your
Okay,
database.
sounds good. All right, thank you so
Why
much,
is it important?
Dr.
Brock, I'm gonna pick on you for a moment, Brock. I know that it's getting colder in Virginia right now, so Brock, why is it important right now, this time of year, to reach out to your database?
Well, the first thing that comes to mind is just showing my gratitude to them.
Awesome, love it. And this is a month of thanks, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it makes perfect time for that. So what else is else can come from a phone call, just reaching out of gratitude to your database?
A client, a transaction.
You can find a transaction, okay?
Whether
Uh,
proof your house for the winter?
Okay, you got some ideas. What's going on with your house? Is there any, are you having any challenges that I got a ton of people that can help you out if needed? Okay, awesome. What if you were to find somebody and this has happened to me, what if you were to find somebody that recently lost a spouse? Interesting. What if you were to find somebody that had all of a sudden a major change in their family situation? Maybe they had a huge fight, or the opposite. You call them up and they find out that the first grandchild is going to be born.
That happened to us, John. We had someone who had a baby, and we also found someone, I think, that is pregnant, that is going to need to upgrade their home. So that happened to
I
us.
was going to say, how many people on here have had kids and realized that your little 2-bedroom, 1-bath condo that you and your husband or wife started in all of a sudden got really small?
Very small.
Really small. Okay. So there are great things that can come from phone calls. And it's really simple. What you're going to find is knowledge.
And can I say
information?
Yeah. There are some people, I mean, I have sucked at keeping up with my database, and I've got 20 years worth of, database. And there are some people that, I mean, I'm driving in from Galveston, going through my phone, calling people, and I haven't talked to them a long time. And one guy in particular, who was kind of a hard nose when we were buying, he was so happy to hear from me. We're still in the same house. I said, I know, I looked that stuff up before I call you. But they were so excited to hear, and they were so disappointed they were going to be out of town. But I was real hesitant to call him, and I remembered that he was in finance, and I'm like, "You finance, right?" And he goes, "Yes." I said, "Oh, so cool. My son's doing finance at JP Morgan in Dallas." And he goes, "Oh, awesome." I think he was for UBS, whatever it's called. And so it was just another connection. But I was real hesitant to call because I thought, but I went ahead and did it. And I was so happy that I did, because it was just a total reconnection. And I just told him, I said, look, just due to the fact that COVID is officially over now, we are definitely going to be doing more things and staying in touch with you guys. And I mean, it took a long time, right, Bettina? Because I mean, we were freaking on the phone. I mean, big story from one of my clients. I called him. It was 8:30 that night before last. And I called him. I said, Dan, hey, you want a pie? Blah, blah, blah. We got to talking. This is one of my favorite clients, because my son, Justin, was showing him homes. And when Dan saw me, he was like, Justin, you've got a hot mom. And I was like, oh, dude, you are my favorite client forever. And Justin was like, I threw up in my mouth. Thanks a lot. And so Dan, and so he was asking, he goes, did you guys ever get the stuff figured out for your dad? My father died when he was 37 and was not given a military funeral because it was just right after Vietnam. And I don't think the funeral home knew about it. In the midst of our conversation, my client, I was bawling, was like, okay, Sandra, I am going to bring my retirement flag and I'm going to dress in my uniform, and the military is going to honor your father the way that he needs to be honored. And I want to present that to your mom. I mean, blew me away, just absolutely blew me away. So I immediately, talked to Patrick the next day, and I said, you're not going to believe it. And my dad's been gone 52 years. And so and my mom knows nothing about this. And so for us to do this from a client was just absolutely mind-blowing. Stay in touch.
Awesome. Yeah. Awesome. All right, guys, before we get into a couple of role plays, let's take a couple minutes. I just want to hear what you guys are hearing today, what you're learning, and what your takeaways are so far. Don't be shy.
I would say just staying connected in general, like stay connected with your people, check in on them, provide help, come from a place of curiosity and genuinely wanting to help people.
Excellent. Thank you for that, Sarah. What else do we got?
Along those lines, I think people you haven't kept in contact with, like Sandra said, I mean, when you're doing it for a nice gesture, it's never too long. So it's like, oh, wow, I haven't heard from you, but they're just happy to hear from you and you're not wanting anything out of it. You're just there to talk to them. So I think that's a great idea. And it was
Awesome.
kind of fun. I actually had, because my database has so many from Alaska. And so I actually had contacts, and the Alaska team actually has a couple of pies because they're like, Terry, I'd love to have you deliver it, but I think it's a bit of a ways for you to go. And I'm like, you know what? I will arrange for you to get it in Alaska. So it was kind of fun because I connected people with the team in Alaska that wouldn't have been connected otherwise. So, I mean, it was kind of a win-win. I got to talk with them, and we got to add some people to some databases.
We've got somebody
So
from
that's
Alaska.
interesting. You had pies, delivered to Alaska, Terry. I love it.
Well, somebody in Alaska is picking up a pie here from us. Because I was like, who's this person? So we got to figure it out. So it was just interesting how the network really does work.
It really does.
I learned what
Pretty amazing, isn't it?
Valentine's Day. Commit to Valentine's Day. Get those chocolates and bottles of wine. Love your idea.
Love it. Glad you're going to do that, Patty. Thank you. All right. So we're going to make some calls. We're going to practice some calls just to your database for the next week. And I'm going to round robin. I'm just going to pick people at random. Al Baxter, you're going to be the first person making the call, and you are calling Brock. He's your client.
I'm calling who?
Brock.
And we're going to discuss what?
Were you not paying attention to anything over the last 20 minutes, Al? You're just calling him to say thanks.
Okay.
He's in your database. Now you have to figure out what you're thanking him for or what you're grateful for. All right?
Okay. Ring, ring.
Hello.
Yeah, Brock?
Hey.
Al Baxter here.
Oh, okay.
Williams. Yeah, I just wanted to call and just touch base with you. You came across I came across your name on my phone, and we hadn't touched base for a while, and the holidays are coming up, and I just wanted to find out if what you do for the holiday and if I can help out at all. And
yeah, so I'm doing some traveling, going back home for Thanksgiving. I'm pretty
where's home
excited
at
to see
again?
family.
Where's home at again?
Oh, in North Carolina.
North Carolina. Well, are you going to drive or fly?
Probably fly. Yeah, I'm getting to that point where driving's a little much for me now.
Okay. Is that someplace you may end up going back to someday to live, or?
Probably not. No. I mean, I love it, but it's the small town. I like the vibrant city.
Okay. Well, we have a pie giveaway going right now, and if you want to come by and stop at the office, I'd be more welcome to give you a pie, and you can take it with you on your journey, if possible. Otherwise, enjoy it prior or when you get home with your immediate family here.
Okay. Yeah, knowing me, that pie probably won't even make it home. I've
Okay.
got the appetite.
By the way, while I've got you on the line, do you know anybody at work or in your neighborhood right now that's thinking about selling or buying a home?
I don't know. I mean, of course, everyone's talking about the interest rates and stuff. So I don't know of anyone that's specifically said that they're wanting to buy, but I can keep an ear out for you.
Yeah, if you would, I'd appreciate it. Actually, we had a dip in interest rates yesterday, and but right now there's some pretty good values out there, and there's a pretty good selection compared to what we've experienced the last couple of years. So keep me in mind if you would, and share any names, phone numbers, and emails. I'd appreciate it.
Okay. Yeah, I'll do that for you.
Have a good Thanksgiving and enjoy your trip.
All right. Well, you too.
Thank you.
Awesome. Good job. Al, how do you feel you did on that?
Probably a little long, but
Okay.
outside that.
Okay. Brock, how did you feel about that?
Yeah, it went okay. Yeah.
Okay. So who are you going to visit in the Carolinas?
Oh, I'm actually not going home. I thought I'd
No,
just.
you're in role play. I'm just wondering if we ever got to who you're going to visit.
Oh, yeah. So I'm from North Carolina, so my whole family's down there.
Okay. Awesome. How long has it been since you've seen him?
Let's see. Well, it's been about a month and a half now.
Oh, that's not too bad. That's not too bad. A lot of the people I talk to is sometimes as much as 2 or 3 years since they've seen him. So, well, that's good. Now, do they ever get up here to visit you?
Yeah, so my mom and my brother came up here last month. So
Wonderful. Wonderful. You know, Brock, I appreciate you taking the call. I hope all is well with you and you have a wonderful Thanksgiving.
okay. All right.
So, guys, it doesn't always, if you don't see an opening for business, you don't have to force it open. And that, Al, I'm not saying that it was wrong to ask if he knows anyone. You don't have to if you're not comfortable with it and you don't see the opening. Okay?
Okay.
Make it your own. Make it your own, okay? So Patty, it's your turn. Since you're in my office, I'm going to make this difficult on you.
I'm new, but I'll try.
That's okay. The person I'm going to call on just bit her lip because she knows I'm going to call on her, and that'd be Sandra. So Sandra is going to be your client or someone in your database. And again, same thing. You just call her and say, "Hey, I just appreciate knowing you," and see where the conversation goes. She may throw you a loop, she may not.
Ring.
Hello.
Hi, Sandra. This is Patty. How are you doing? I know I haven't talked to you in a while. Patty from Keller Williams. We came across each other about 6 months ago.
Uh,
I just
It's been a long time, Patty. How are you?
I'm good. I just came across from you. You popped up on my phone, and I was thinking about you. I thought I'm just going to give you a call.
Oh,
See
that's sweet.
So, what are you doing these days?
Well, just having family time. Grandbabies are coming, we're just enjoying life, we're empty nesters. So
Are your future grandchildren in town, or are they far away?
some are in town, some are not.
Are you going to be able to visit them over the holidays?
I can barely hear you, Patty.
I know, Patty, you're having a hard time with your microphone. Maybe move a little bit closer.
Can you hear me better now? Are you having is that better?
Yes.
Okay. I forgot where I was at. That being said, you going to able to see them over the holidays?
We sure are. We're super excited about it. It'll be fun.
How many grandchildren do you have now?
I have 4. Wait a minute, just a second. 4 with 1 cooking. That is not public knowledge, Bettina.
When you say 1 cookie, does that mean 1 in the oven? I don't know.
I can't hear you.
So Patty, when you're looking at the screen, you see how I've got either a yellow or a green box around me? That means the microphone's working really well. If you're talking, you don't see that around you, that means it's not working. So we're having technical difficulties. So we're going to punt, and Terry is going to jump in here and call Sandra. Terry Clark Newman.
Hi, Sandra. How are you?
Hey, Terry, I'm great. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. So Thanksgiving's coming up, and I'm sure you saw my email about Thanksgiving pies.
I did.
So have you signed up for one?
I did not.
Oh, how come?
I just haven't had time to yet, Patty. Terry, it's been so busy.
Are you going to be home for Thanksgiving, or are you going to be traveling for Thanksgiving?
No, we're going to be home. All the kids are coming in with the grandbabies.
Oh, really? So has everybody been home in a while, or is this going to be a first time for you?
They've been here. It's probably been a couple of months. So,
well, that'll be so great to get everybody together.
We're excited.
Well, I would still love to make your Thanksgiving a little easier and offer you a pie.
Do I have to do anything for it, Patty? Terry, sorry.
Call me the right name. No, I'm kidding. Do you have to do anything for it? Well, there is the quick short form. Literally, it asks you for your name and apple or pumpkin. So not a lot of difficulty there. And then we're going to be offering them next week to pick up at my office.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, I can do that. Yeah, I definitely would want an apple.
Awesome. Okay. Well, It has been great connecting with you, and I know you're very busy with work, so I don't want to keep you on the phone too long, but I look forward to seeing you next week.
Thank you, Terry. Thank you for the call. Really do appreciate hearing from you.
Thanks.
Awesome. Now we're going to go to somebody non-Pi Day, Jessica. Because you're in Denny's bold, yeah, you're going to step right up. You're going to be calling somebody, and you're going to call Keith because he's finally paying attention. He's off the phone now. So Keith is going to be your client. You're not doing Pi Day. You're just gonna call him and say hi, thanks, I appreciate you. Simple.
Okay.
Simple, simple, simple.
Okay. Ring. Where's Keith? Ring, ring, ring.
Hi.
Hi, Keith. It's Jessica. How are you?
I'm doing very well, Jessica. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing so great. I'm so glad you picked up your phone. I know that it's been a year since you sold your home in Northville. How are you?
Really well. After the sale, we were able to get the house we wanted after that with the profits. And so things are really well. We're building equity. Everything's looking up.
Wow. That, you know what, that really touches me. Thank you for sharing that. I think that that was a blessing then, would you say, that you sold your home and had.
I would actually. And now that you mention it, I'd like to thank you for being there in that moment with us. It was very important to us.
Gosh, well, that really touches me. You probably wouldn't realize this, but I don't get thanked very often. Normally I'm on the other end thanking you and calling people like you and thanking them for the opportunity. And I hope you know that I love what I do and I love helping others.
Jessica, he threw you for a loop.
And
didn't he?
so actually,
This is why we love Keith so much. He is just the
he
biggest
did. And it's
He
true
threw
though.
you for a
I mean,
loop.
I think.
Okay, so
Well,
Jessica,
and
we're
it's
gonna.
true though, because we don't, yeah, it's true though. We really don't get thanked that often
Okay, so
for what we
Jessica,
do.
You're right, we don't.
Yeah.
And do you want to broadcast that? Oh, we don't get thanked at all.
Absolutely.
Do you really want to say that?
No, I don't want to. I don't
You don't wanna tell
want to
them.
broadcast it. Yeah, I guess that maybe sounds negative.
Yeah, so let's give you a reboot. Okay, give you a couple seconds to regroup. And Keith is
Mhm.
going to say the same thing. He's going to say, I'm glad you called. I really wanted to thank you. And then now it'll give you time to think about it. This is why we practice it, because guess what? This does happen. You will call somebody out of the blue and they're just going to totally flip the script on you. I'm glad you called. I appreciate you. Thank you.
Well, I
And
guess
it's like,
I don't know how to respond to that. Yeah, I mean, how should I respond?
How would you like to respond to it?
Authentically.
Okay.
I really would just like to respond to it the way that I think that I should, by being myself. But then are
And
you
how-
saying that I should take that and like ask for more business? Like, is there other people in your life that I,
No.
oh,
I want to hear how you would respond to that. Now that you're not caught off guard, how would you respond to it? Jessica, I really appreciate you calling me. I just wanted to say thank you for everything you did for me and my family.
I would actually respond to that by being very touched that I'm very touched that you shared that with me. Thank
how you
you.
respond.
That really means a lot. Yeah.
That's how you do it.
Well, awesome.
That's how you do it. Do we find that even in these conversations that are
Keith,
really simple to have, that sometimes we feel at a loss for words, or we get a blank spot? You get that silence on the radio and you feel like somebody has to talk.
Well, I think too that Jessica, you could have just said, Keith, it was such an honor to help you guys. Thank you so much. That just means so much to me. Easy enough, because I understand where you're coming from. You know, you just, yeah, we don't get thanked. You know, I mean, sometimes we do, you know, but not all the time. But he did throw you for a loop, though.
And I love it. I love the fact that you did that, Keith. Thank you. All right.
As
So
always, it was my pleasure.
all right. So, and Jessica, thank you for stepping out of your comfort zone. I know this is your first day on the call here. This is a little unorthodox for our typical calls on Friday. Again, leading into next week, wanted to be able to talk to you guys a little bit about some things that you can do and how you can affect the moods of your clients just by making a few calls over the next couple days. Okay. Now, when we regroup in 2 weeks, when Denny's back, we'll be back at it hot and heavy again. And I do fully expect Keith and Sandra to be on their A game on those days. So to this point, what are you guys taking away from this? Besides, we need to get Patty a new microphone.
I have a follow-up on the scripts that was just done. With somebody like that who is also so grateful, I feel like wouldn't that also be a great time to say, you know what, I'm so grateful that you enjoyed working with me. Would you maybe mind leaving your review if they haven't already, or maybe doing like a short video that you can share with others on their experience with you? Something like that.
That's a great time for it. Absolutely. Have no problem asking for that. And the conversation, Sarah, might sound, oh, instead of me doing it, let's have you do it. All right.
Oh, no.
Keith, oh, come on, you're not on camera, so you can be as strong as you want on this. No one's going to see it. So Keith just says to you, says, you know, Sarah, I appreciate you. I appreciate what you just did for our family. It made a huge difference. Thank you.
Okay. You know, Keith, that is so great to hear. It was truly a pleasure working with you and your family as well. And you know, that just makes me think, if you wouldn't mind, I can just send you a quick link to our Google account. And if you would just leave a review on your experience with me and just, you know, what I was able to do to help you and your family, that would just mean the world to me. And I would really appreciate that. Maybe?
You know what? I would love to do that for you. You've helped us out so much that, I mean, all I got to do is answer some questions about you. I can do that.
You are truly the best. I appreciate you so much.
Was that hard? Anybody?
I want Keith for a client. Okay.
Right? Me
I
too.
don't really.
I'll take 5.
I know. I mean, Keith is going to make me cry.
The gratitude calls are my favorite. Because it's so easy and it puts everybody in such a good mood. Absolutely love it.
Yeah, and it catches them off guard, doesn't it? Just like you caught Jessica off guard. It catches them off guard. So it's awesome. I love that. All right, guys, we got a few more minutes. Let's talk about some of your takeaways that you can use going forward for the next week or two that's going to move your business forward. What do you got? Patty's already planning chocolate wine on Valentine's Day. So
Can you hear me?
a little closer.
Can you hear me now?
There you go.
Okay. All right. I've learned from this. This is the second time I've gotten on this call, and I am new. But using the time that you would think to call people anyway, calling now just to tell them you're thinking of them, thankful that they've been in your life. They would appreciate that, because we don't normally just get calls of, hey, I appreciate you.
Awesome. Love that. What else do we got? Jessica said the same thing in the chat, making more gratitude calls. Awesome.
So for like the skilled market deal, I'm actually in developing stages. I was a wedding DJ for like years. So I'm actually working, they have 30 DJs for the company that I work for. So I'm trying to figure out ways to get my card and information in their profiles that they give to their clients. So like you'd meet with a potential bride and groom, and then you'd go over the DJ services, and at the back of the services would be some real estate info. So I'm actually in developing stages for that.
Awesome. Awesome. Love that. Did anyone think that the reverse offer was a really slick idea?
Yes.
Yes, that was
Cool.
good to hear about. I'm new enough that I never would have come up with that. That was a great one.
You know what? There's people that have been around this business for 30 years that never would have come up with that one. So that was an awesome insight. So think about if you guys have listings that are getting a little stale, maybe 15, 20 people that have seen them, call the seller, say, hey, here's a thought. Why don't we send a contract out to everybody who has seen your property? You get the first shot at it at this price.
If y'all have any questions, you're welcome to call me too. I kind of want your playlist from the weddings, if you don't mind. So
That was actually part of the tracking, is that I can set up a Spotify playlist. So it would say something like, you know, when the music ends, push play on your new playlist in your new home. And then like it would link them to my Spotify and a pre-selected playlist. And then I'd be able to see who's touching it.
well, I'm going to go link to your Spotify now because I want to see what you're listening to.
There you go.
It might surprise you.
All right, guys,
Oh,
I am putting in the chat. I'm going to put my email in the chat. All right. If there are any topics you want to cover when we're back on in 2 weeks, send me an email. Denny and I will get everything ready for you, and it will go beyond following the model. The model works on everything. We are going to get very specific using the acknowledge, isolate, address, close model for very specific objections that you guys are seeing in the market. So whatever you've got, whatever someone's throwing at you, write down the
Calling
question.
expires will be cool to kind of touch on.
Okay, great. So calling expireds and getting Ann's skill set up from one listing every 3 months to one listing every 3 weeks to one listing a week, right? Because at this now, Ann, have you been
Definitely.
tracking your numbers? Have you been tracking your numbers? How many people have you called in that 3-month time frame?
It's about 179.
Okay. So guess what? You're going to learn how to make 179 calls in a day, not in 3 months. It can
Okay.
be done. It can be done. Okay. And it's just called focus. So when you get really proficient at this, you'll be able to call 70 people an hour.
Wow.
And those of you that know me know I'm a numbers geek. If you call 70 people an hour, you are going to be able to figure out how many calls you need to make in order to get a listing appointment, and how many listing appointments you need to go on to get a listing. Yes, Mindy, that is a single line dialer. That's all that's needed. You don't use it. I am totally against 3-line dialers, by the way. You only need a single line dialer. So for those of you with call reluctance, you don't have to get over it. You just have to realize that somebody else might get over it before you. And if you were dialing 70 phone numbers an hour, Al Baxter, I'll pick on you because you've been around on this call longer than most of us. If I was to give you $5 for every phone number you dialed, and you were dial 70 an hour, so you're making $350 an hour, would you be happy?
I called it long.
You'd call a lot, wouldn't you, Ann? So my track record is $15.42 is what I make when I'm calling expires and for sale by owners every time I dial the phone.
Wow.
So Keith, I know you're muted, but you mouthed something.
$15 a phone call is not bad.
Yeah, times 70.
Yeah, it's good money
Okay.
in there.
Did
So-
you leave a message, John? Did you leave a message?
Nope, don't leave messages. They don't work. And yes, I've tracked it. I've tracked everything when it comes to this. So if you really want to know what it's like to bang the phones, I can absolutely show you how to do it. We will cover that in 2 weeks at our next one. All right.
Yes.
Guys, as always, I appreciate you. Be sure to send me your questions that you have. And if you want to learn more about dialing a little bit more and how to be more proficient at it, email me and we'll start including that in our weekly calls also. All right. All right, guys. Have a great week. Have a wonderful
Thank you.
Thanksgiving. Appreciate you all. We will
Everybody.
see you in 2 weeks. And
Happy
Mindy, Vulcan 7 is who I use.
Yeah.
Later, guys.